Yeah, the San Francisco 49ers address the cornerback position, signing Charvarius. I almost call him Charvarius Moore. Charvarius Ward. Golly, Charvarius Ward. Uh, was it a good signing? We're gonna get into all that and more. The money, all that. Jimmy Garoppolo. What's the deal with him? Will he be gone by tomorrow? You know what it is, man. San Francisco 49ers morning show. We're gonna talk about all that. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crop Talk TV podcast. Peace.
Welcome to another episode of the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker. And of course, as always, make sure y'all tune in to the Locked On 49ers podcast with myself and my co-host, Brian Peacock. We come at you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We're also on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe to that channel as well. And Locked On NFL Draft Show with myself and my co-host, Ryan Tracy. We get into all things pertaining to the NFL draft, all your draft needs, one-stop shop on YouTube as well, on any streaming platform that you listen to your podcast. Go subscribe, follow those things right now. Y'all. Obviously we had the video yesterday and we talked about some other stuff for about 10 minutes or whatever. But someone in the comments put football talk starts at 10 minutes. And I appreciate that. But sometimes the talk, obviously, we're going to come in here and talk about some real shit. But also it gives people a chance to kind of filter in, right? Like right now we have 63 people in here. I bet by the time 30 seconds goes by, there's going to be 100 people in here. By about 5 minutes, there's going to be 150 people in here. You shoot up to 300. So I try to give people a chance to kind of filter in just a little bit before we get into to the topics that everyone wants to listen to. So that's what a lot of that is about, man. Shout out to everybody's in here right now. I see the flames coming in. I saw a comment when I first started, and it was my guy saying, not a great morning, but still 5 flames. Let's go. You know what it is. It's still 5 flames. If you're new to the show, 5 flames means you're feeling good. Anything more than that, you are feeling amazing. You are feeling excellent. You are just happy as can be. Anything less than that, we need to talk about it just a little bit. And I keep the door open. I've talked about it before. I personally have not I haven't experienced any type of mental health issues or anything like that for myself, depression, anxiety, like none of that, right? But my wife did. So I've seen it firsthand. I know the biggest thing that helped her was having someone to speak to, talk to, and make her feel like she's not alone. So if y'all ever feel like y'all going through something and you don't got nobody to talk to, man, holla at me, shoot the DM, all that good stuff. I'll give you my number, and we'll just talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. All right, but got 100 people in here. I think it's a good time to kind of jump into the football talk, as the comment like to say. This is a great comment to kind of start off with. Croc, did we pay too much? I would say when it comes to free agency, I don't think there's such thing as paying too much. Like you're gonna pay a premium regardless. So just the contract and all that stuff, just throw that out the window. Now, I will say this because I did get a comment. Let me go to it real quick. I did get a comment kind of, talking about the money. And again, my thing when it comes to free agency, you're going to pay a whole lot. You're going to pay more than you want to for most people. All right. But his contract is rather friendly, if I'm not mistaken, because I'm looking at the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 guys. And what's their yearly average? Like all these like 16 guys, they're over 13 million. Ward falls in that range, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to make about 13 million a year, something along those lines. Now, again, there are also, different ways to kind of structure it. What's up front, what's not, guarantees, all that. I think I saw it was $27 million guaranteed. Essentially, to me, it sounds like a 2-year contract. So I don't think it's anything too crazy. As far as, 49ers, they're going to do their thing, work their magic. But I was kind of I don't want to say surprised or shocked, but the fact that there were a lot of 49er fans that have been craving. Listen, I listen to y'all every single day. How many times during the season did we talk about the cornerback position and how all y'all address the cornerback position, address the cornerback position? We need better cornerbacks. Then they go out and sign a better cornerback, and they're like, no, not that better cornerback. I want another better cornerback. Like, no, man. Charvarius Ward, almost call him Tyvarius Moore again. Gosh. Charvarius Ward, he's a good cornerback. And I watched this film and we're gonna go over that. But first, I want to get into some of these coverage numbers. And I've been one to say, like, hey guys, there is no shutdown corner. There's not that guy, and all this, that, and the other. Like, y'all have heard me. A lot of y'all that's been in here this whole time. Y'all hear me listen to this. All right. His advanced stats shit is like, it's borderline elite. It's borderline elite. And it matches up. And I'm not saying I just was watching this elite cornerback on film, but it does match up with a lot of the good things that I did see on film. So here is numbers. We're going to talk about it real quick. Nearest, and this is when he is the nearest defender. So I don't know if this is just straight man, zone, whatever, but when he's the nearest defender in coverage, his completion percentage allowed is 40%. That ranks first in the NBA, in the NFL. His expected completion percentage, 46.6, first in the NFL. His yards per target, in Kansas City, they will play a lot of man, 4.6, third in the NFL. Passer rating against, 52.5, third in the NFL. Tight window rate, that's one of my favorites because this lets me know that you are contesting passes. 46.7, first in the NFL. So, you know, that's as good as it gets. You know what I'm saying? And again, I ain't saying he's shut down. I don't know. All right. But what I did watch, and again, I don't know, is there a shutdown and all that? And I see he's only 25. He's about to be 26. I don't think that makes much of a difference because, again, like I said, essentially this contract to me looks like a 2-year contract, 2 years, $27 million. And then that third year, kind of 49ers can do whatever. But these numbers are elite. Again, I'll repeat it one more time for y'all. Completion percentage allowed against them, 40%, first. Expected completion percentage, first. Yards per target, third. Passing rate against them, third. Tight window rate, first. I like it. I like it. Now, let's talk a little bit about what I saw on film. We'll talk about his fit, what's going to happen with Emmanuel Mosley and Ambry Thomas, and some of my issues with cornerbacks. I guess I don't want to say my issues, but kind of my pushback on cornerbacks. All right. But what did the film say? And last night I watched 3 games before I hopped on live. Listen, y'all, shout out to all y'all that was in there live last night. We had 1,100 live viewers at one time. 1,100. 1,100. It was late. But that was pretty cool. 1,100 live viewers at one time. 1,100. Like over that, like the entire time. When I got off, there was still like 1,000 people in there. I was like, okay, I just got to go to sleep so I can wake up and be fresh for my morning people. But watching his film, all right, what did I see? One, I think he's a very aggressive press corner. The one thing, because, and I think I said, somebody came in here first, they're like, Croc, you didn't like him. You know, I don't want to say I made a mistake. Ward and Snead, I think I was getting them confused. So when something would happen to one of those guys, and then maybe something happened to the other guy, I was looking at it as it was one guy. Because Ward and Snead, they just like look similar when watching them on film. One is number 35, the other one is number 38. And they're just both, I don't know, in these Chiefs uniforms. I think I was getting confused. So watching them, again, some of the things that I had concerns with, and we'll get into it, that still kind of popped up, but not to the extent of what I was remembering, because, again, I was thinking for whatever reason that these guys were the same 2 guys, number 38 and number 35, and they kind of looked the same on film. All right, but watching him on film, one thing was very clear. He's very comfortable in press alignment. All right, I thought that looked really good. His patience at the line, I really like how he switched up his technique, the looks that he's giving receivers, just giving them something to think about a little bit. All right. Whether it's a, one hand stab, two hand stab. I used to do this thing called Super Jam, Turbo Jam. I call it the Turbo Jam. I used to like step back, come forward, and come square, but I get hands on real good. I saw him mix that in. Really liked his approach to man. And I thought he was terrific with being able to run with receivers downfield. I thought he mirrored and matched receivers very well. More times than not, he was in position to make plays on the ball. Now, we've seen that with Ambry Thomas as well, and you have to make plays at the catch point. And I saw him do that against Jamar Chase. That was good. Knocked the pass away. And judging by this tight window rate, with him being first in the NFL, what I saw matches with that. I think he's going to contest guys consistently. All right. A fluid mover, much more fluid than whatever I was expecting. His helmet is ugly. I wish he would change his helmet and face mask. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. On film, what I was saying was, hey, this is a good football player. This is a good football player the 49ers have. Now, this is all great. But a lot of times my question is, okay, you got a good corner. How much, and this is some of my pushback, how much does a good corner impact the results of the game? All right, we're going to get into that. Make sure you guys keep that in mind. All right, now, his fit, to me, he looked more comfortable in press man. I saw him play off. I saw him do those things. Not saying it was like great or whatever, but I just thought his strength is a press man guy. All right, I thought that's what his strength was. Well, the 49ers play last year, they played a ton of off. They played a lot of quarters off. Now, will they allow him to play quarters from a press alignment? Maybe a little bit outside shade, be able to read 2-1 and his keys from there. If they do, love it. If they force him to consistently play off as much as what they asked guys last year to do, it's not as ideal unless you're saying we're going to play off on early downs and then on third down, we're going to tighten down. Ward, do your thing, play man. All right. I talked about Ambry Thomas. I thought watching Ambry Thomas at Michigan, he was a press man corner, and I thought he was pretty good at that. Now, a lot of the ups and downs with Ambry Thomas, and y'all can watch and see for yourself. When he got beat last year, was he in press man or was he off? I bet more times than not he was off. I bet you can watch and see. A lot of times when Ambry Thomas got beat last year, I bet it was off coverage most of the time. 90% of the time, I'll say. But Ambry Thomas, it's like 49ers, what do you expect? He was a press man guy in college, and you forced him to play off. Now, maybe that's not his thing. So allow him to do his thing. Again, I don't know. It's just in my opinion. Ward, same thing. He's a press man, in your face, physical corner, and I like it. But don't force him to do things that didn't get him to these elite numbers. Completion percentage allowed, first. Expected completion percentage, first. Yards per target, third. Passer rating, third. Tight window rate, first. The reason why he's able to do that is because I think he played very well at the line of scrimmage, and he contested guys and made it really tough for them. And he can run with guys, and he's fluid. All right. What happens with a guy like Ambry Thomas, who is kind of, developing? You also have, and we'll see what steps he takes in the right direction. You got Emmanuel Mosley. I believe he's entering the last year of his contract, so keep that in mind. All right. I think it was a 2-year, $10 million thing that he did last year. It was like initially he was a restricted free agent, and then they like brought him in, and all you had to do was like give him 1 year, but then they like gave him 2 years, and it was $10 million, whatever. But what happens with them? Now, I did get a lot of questions when I was on live last night. Croc, who could play in the nickel? I will say this. Emmanuel Mosley came into the NFL with the 49ers as an undrafted free agent, and I thought his primary role was nickel. All right, now, he was a guy who played outside at Tennessee. I thought he was good playing outside at Tennessee. Had a nice little battle with Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel got him at the catch point. All right, but when he got to the NFL, the 49ers are playing him outside and base downs. And remember, a lot of people, they loved Charvarius McFadden. Or Charvarius Ward, Charvarius McFadden. Charvarius McFadden out of FSU, he had 8 picks in 1 year. Everybody loved him. I was like, I think Mosley's the better guy. All right. Mosley ended up clearly being the better guy. I'm pretty sure our guy Charvarius McFadden is not even in the NFL anymore. All right. But Mosley played a lot of nickel in that situation. He was outside in base, slid inside to the nickel spot in nickel situations or dime situations. All right. Now, moving forward, I remember the following offseason. Remember, Mosley was a practice squad guy, got brought up first game. He like broke his arm or shoulder or something crazy, right? Next offseason, 49ers preseason, Emmanuel Mosley, he played a ton of nickel and he looked good playing nickel. He looked good. And I was thinking, why are you keeping Kawhi Williams? Now, Kawhi Williams really good, but it was just me just watching this young guy. I'm like, he's a legit nickel. Legit nickel, Ambry Thomas. I really liked him there. Now, obviously, he's played outside. I think, the outside position is a little bit more valuable. Obviously, 49ers have had some they haven't really had issues so much in the nickel. And, you have other guys that can play there, Dante Johnson, things like that. We'll see what they do to kind of build up some depth there. But I do think there is a scenario where you have your 3 corners, Mosley and Ward start on the outside, and in nickel situations, you slide Mosley inside, and you have Ambry Thomas come in and he play on the outside. That's what I would guess. All right. So as far as fit goes, Ambry Thomas and Ward potentially playing, Mosley and Ward playing on the outsides, and in the nickel situation, Mosley slide inside, and Ambry Thomas playing on the outside. And yes, Mosley is a legit nickel. I really liked him there. And where were the 49ers vulnerable last year? Right? When they were getting beat. It's like, what? Kawhi Williams, you're kind of a liability on these slot fades. You can't really run vertically with guys. And he couldn't. Right? Anything past 8 yards, I'm worried about Kawhi Williams. Anything 8 yards underneath, he's amazing. I think he's terrific and probably the best in the league at that, blitzing up the edge. How aggressive he is against the run. Understanding his zone drops and being good with that. Like, he's great there. But man coverage where he has to run across field with guys, man coverage where he has to run vertical with guys, did not think that was ideal to have Williams in those situations. And I don't think you have those issues with Emmanuel Mosley. He has no issues running vertically with guys. Now, also, you have a guy like Diamador Lenore. So now you start to have some depth, right? You look at it right now, I would say Ward, Mosley, Thomas. Okay, you got your 3. Now Diamador Lenore, that's the 4th guy. Definitely some depth. And I know everybody's like, God damn, motherfucker won't go away. He's like Michael Myers. I still would bring Dante Johnson back. Bring him back. All right, so Dante Johnson, come on back. And then you can throw in anybody else, maybe if you draft a guy late and you see what happens with him. All right, so I like it. I like the signing from that standpoint. Now, what can you do to live up to that paycheck? Because I watched Charvarius Ward, and you see these numbers, and these are amazing. So clearly that means he ain't getting beat consistently. I did see him get beat, though, right? Like, I did watch the game against Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Bengals where on 3rd and 27, they said, okay, we're just going to throw the ball up on you, and, first down. We're just going to, another time, we're going to throw the ball up on you. Touchdown. He falling all on the ground, look all crazy and shit, right? So if y'all expect him to just not get beat ever, then you are highly mistaken. And I would say, me watching chats all the time and looking at 49ers and us talking about that, y'all expectations of what a corner is supposed to be is really high. It's really high. And again, these numbers are as good as it gets, but even then, I put on film and saw him get beat. Now, I got my guy right here, and this is amazing take. Chase was beating a lot of players. Right, you are 100% correct. So why is it so alarming when Jamar Chase beat Ambry Thomas, a rookie in his first start? So I'm the main one telling y'all that I know these corners get beat. But everybody's telling me how 49ers need to replace every corner that they have. I'm like, no, like, these dudes are going to get beat. Like it's gonna happen. It happened to him. His numbers are fucking amazing. These are amazing. It happened to him. It happened to Jalen Ramsey in the Super Bowl. I think he's the best corner in the NFL. I saw my guy talk about it happened to Marlon Humphrey. Got cooked by Chase for goddamn 200 yards. So what are the expectations, or what are y'all looking for to get out of Charvarius Ward? I think he's a good corner. I think the 49ers were fine last year. Obviously, the coaching staff was like, nah, Croc, you're hella wrong. All right. But I thought they were fine. I didn't think the corners were the reason the 49ers lost. They couldn't score any fucking points in the playoffs. They couldn't score. That was the issue. I love J.C. Jackson. I watched him play against the Buffalo Bills. I don't know how good J.C. Jackson was, but I know one thing. They gave up 47 points. 49ers gave up 47 points in 3 games. Come on. The Patriots, with J.C. Jackson on the field, gave up 47 points in 1 game. And not just 47 points. They couldn't stop a damn thing. The Josh Allen threw more touchdown passes than incompletions. He threw 5 touchdown passes. He threw 4 incompletions for over 300 yards with him on the field. So again, I really like the signing. And I'm all for it. I want to see how y'all react when he gets beat. Is it replace him? Do you need new court? Did you overpay him? Did you do this and that and the other? As opposed to watching a guy consistently throughout games and seeing if he's doing a good job and challenging guys. And from the looks of this, tight window rate, 46.7, first in the NFL. Looks like he challenges guys consistently. I also saw Ambry Thomas challenge guys, and he gave up some catches downfield where he was challenging guys in good position. I would assume that he's right there on the verge of turning that corner. Now, where it does really pay off, especially if you're a guy like J.C. Jackson, takes the ball away a ton. 7 picks, like damn near every year, it feels like. Ward has 4 interceptions in 4 years. So everybody wants taking the ball, all intercepted, lockdown, whatever. I don't know. So again, I say all that to say, I like the signing. I mean, you look at these numbers, you can't argue with that. That's just amazing. What's the impact of it as it pertains to wins and losses? This hot chocolate is amazing. What's the impact of it as it pertains to wins and losses? Because I watched the 49ers games last year, and I did not come away. Unless you say, oh, this guy got beat on this play, and that was a touchdown. Well, that happens to a lot of guys. I think I saw someone say Ward gave up, 4 or 6 touchdowns last year? How many touchdowns did he get? Ambry Thomas played limited snaps. I don't want to use him. 49ers gave up 2 touchdowns in the NFC Championship game. 2. With the corners they had, which they could improve on. And I always said, you can improve from these guys. How much difference does it make as it pertains to wins and losses? Because a lot of times I watch 49ers games, I did not think it was the corners. I didn't think it was like, oh, man, these corners, they suck. That's why you lost. I look at it overall, 49ers were holding all teams damn near under their average passing yards for games. They were holding teams to less points. They were doing a lot of good things. You played Dallas Cowboys, most high-powered offense in the NFL, highest-scoring offense in the NFL. They scored 17 points, barely. Took a bonehead Jimmy Garoppolo weird interception to even put them in position to score that last touchdown. Couldn't really throw for any yards. It took that last drive playing prevent defense for Dak Prescott to over 200 passing yards. I don't know. Croc, you keep bringing up Ward was beat by Chase. Chase was beating Ramsey. I don't get your point. My point is everybody gets beat. That's what I'm saying. Whether it's goddamn okay. Everybody that y'all talk about, the 49ers. Oh man, well they couldn't guard AJ Brown. AJ Brown beats everybody. Oh, they couldn't guard Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp beats everybody. Oh, they couldn't guard Jamar. Jamar Chase beats everybody. That's my point. That's my point. When you play against good receivers, they're hella good. They win. So if you are judging a guy based on if he's going to get beat by those guys, which the 49ers did, and you feel like, well, can you improve? Whatever. Like, I'm looking for what is the outcome? I hope that makes sense. I'm the one saying everybody gets beat. And I'm the one saying that Jamar Chase is going to beat guys. I do look at these numbers, though, and say, looks like it happens to him less than other people. It's hard to play the cornerback position. Everybody want the 49ers to upgrade at the cornerback position, and it looks like they did. But I think people are going into it with the assumption that, oh, this is a shutdown, lockdown guy. Again, numbers look like, you know what I'm saying? Really good. But what's the expectations of that? That's my question. I think it's a great, really good pickup. I like cornerbacks that challenge guys. I'm looking at these numbers here and what I saw on film. I think that matches up. I love everybody. I'm just, I'm excited. See comments like this. Where's that? Ward was a steal. I don't know if it's a steal when you pay the premium for a guy, right? Like, a steal is like, oh, I got this guy. The Packers had signed a corner in the middle of the year off someone's practice squad. Then he came in and was like lights out. I can't even think of it. Not Sullivan. It was another one of those guys. All right, can't think of his name right now. But it was they got him for the low, pretty much. And he played lights out. Like, that's a steal. I don't think Ward is a steal when you pay a premium for him. But Ward is a good signing. Rasul Douglas, was that who it was? Yeah. Douglas came in. That's a steal. When you get a guy off practice squad and he comes in and he's lights out and he's really good as a starter. Yeah. That's a steal. I don't think Ward's a steal. I think Ward is, hey, this is a good cornerback. 49ers, they got better at the cornerback position. I do believe that they got better. I'm curious to see how much does it move the needle. When you go with Ward, all of a sudden, did the 49ers go from the number 6 pass defense to the number 1 pass defense? The 49ers go from a top 10 points per game defense to a top 5 pass defense per game? Does it improve takeaway? Like, those are the things I want to see. And that's why when I say like I don't know if he moves the needle, I'm looking at, like, in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the 49ers defense at the end of the year, when we say, you know what, they're so much better than last year because they got Ward. Like, that's the question. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. The needle moves when our D-line has more time to get to the quarterback. 49ers D-line is good. So, I mean, do you expect them to be perfect every snap? The 49ers D-line is good. It was good. All right, here we go. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. We just talking, man, talking ball. Here we go. Let me bring up my tweet deck just so I can keep an eye on, some of the things that are going on right now amongst the NFL. All that good stuff. Appreciate everybody's in here. If you like this show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. Why we have 480 in here, only 100 likes? Run them likes up, baby. Run those likes up. Croc, how much would you pay CB1? Great question. I don't. Who's CB1 to you? And what does it mean to be a CB1? I got a Cowboy fan in here right now. It says Cowboy Nation in here. First of all, there's only one nation in this Raider Nation, but Cowboys, I got you. How about them Cowboys? Is Trevon Diggs a CB1? I think he affects the game at a really high level. Give up a lot of yards, takes the ball away 11 times. I think that's CB1 type stuff. How likely is Jimmy G our starter again? Ooh, great question. Let's talk about it. All right, so right now, look at my notes. The Steelers went ahead and signed Mitchell Trubisky, free agent corner, and I believe they're paying him $9 million total for 2 years? Or no, that can't be right. Maybe $9 million a year, which is, I mean, if you have a quarterback that you could pay that much to, awesome. Now, what are the benefits of signing the Mitchell Trubisky? Well, there's no long-term commitment to him. You didn't have to give up draft capital for him like you would Jimmy. This is a quarterback who, no matter how you look at it, how you spin it, he's been to multiple playoffs. You know what I'm saying? He's been, 2 playoff appearances for Mr. Trubisky? $7 million a year. All right, $7 million a year, $14 million for Trubisky. He's been to multiple playoffs. You also can draft a guy in the first round. So if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers and I went and got Mitchell Trubisky, who's not my long-term guy, yeah, I can go and draft a guy, pick 20. I like Malik Willis. There still won't be any big-time commitments even to that, but it gives a Mitchell Trubisky or a Malik Willis time to kind of, okay, let me just kind of grow into this role. Let me just develop. But what does that mean for Jimmy Garoppolo? Who are the suitors for Jimmy Garoppolo right now? If I had to guess, I would say Colts, Panthers, and Saints. Right? Now, when are the 49ers expecting something to happen? Because I know they just signed Ward. I'm not a capologist. All right? I'm not a capologist. But weren't the 49ers in the minus? Y'all can let me know or not. You know, as far as cap space goes, I thought they were in the minus. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought they were in the minus. But you sign Ward. At some point, that has to become official. Probably the day that the new league year starts. How do you do that with Jimmy Garoppolo still on the team? So I would guess that there's a couple things going on here. One, what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson? I think he has an effect on this. The Houston Texans said they are not interested in trading Deshaun Watson to the Colts. So that is not happening. So if I had to guess, and we'll see, I think Deshaun Watson, I saw something saying he's meeting with the Browns. I don't know if that's true or not. How do you meet with him and the Browns or something when you got Baker Mayfield? I don't know. That would be interesting though. But he's meeting with teams, Carolina, Saints, all these different teams, right? And I think that teams are kind of holding off to see what happens with Deshaun Watson. But the team that can't hold off anymore is the Indianapolis Colts. That's the team that can't hold out anymore. I see a comment here. I'll just hit that start. All right. So my co-host, Brian Peacock, and y'all would know this if you listen to Locked On 49ers, come at you 5 days a week. YouTube as well. Go ahead, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Search it. Locked On 49ers. He thinks that Jimmy's gone by Wednesday. So tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, he thinks Jimmy's going to be gone. And that money is going to come off the books and then kind of free up money to be able to make the award signing official and maybe potentially get any other guys out here. Now, I did have a question here from our guy, Keith Murray. He says, teams throw the ball at Diggs. Ike was beating him like a drum in the playoff. CB is Deion versus Revis, where teams don't even throw your side. Oh, CB1. Right. I think those are two extreme cases, though. So let's not use two of the greatest of all time. Maybe you want to use a guy like Jalen Ramsey. I think he's still, sometimes got to be. I think he's the best in the NFL. There was a time when it was Stephon Gilmore, and even then, I remember watching him against DK Metcalf, and this was when Gilmore was, best corner in the league, and it was just like, boom, boom, boom. God damn, this dude DK Metcalf's hella good. All right. So we got to use somebody. We can't use Deion and Revis because those are they're like two of the best ever. Two of the best ever. Saints probably rock with Jameis if they don't get Watson. The market for Jimmy is probably Indy. And if it is Indy, then make it. You got to make it happen. Someone did say that the 49ers had a 2 on the table. If the 49ers had a 2 on the table, are they overvaluing like Jimmy Garoppolo and what he is? You know who the 49ers did this with? Do y'all remember a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, teams wanted Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard and they were willing to trade draft capital for those two sorry ass quarterbacks. And Kyle Shanahan was like, "Nah, we value them more than what we're being offered." These sorry ass dudes couldn't win with them anyways. Is he doing this with Jimmy Garoppolo, who you can win with? You can win with them clearly, and he's proven that. But are they overvaluing the way that their players are being viewed? Are they looking at it from the standpoint? And again, we'll find out soon in the next day or so. Are they looking at like, you know what? We'd rather keep Garoppolo on $27 million and not be able to sign any free agents as opposed to trading him for, let's say, hypothetically speaking, a fifth round pick, because that's what people are saying he's worth. And we don't think so. We think he's worth more than that. So let's keep him, even though we can't really, or you can always restructure guys and sign guys, but instead of loading up around your young quarterback, instead of just throwing all these resources to your team and just being able to get all these guys that are going to make your team better right now with your young quarterback that you spent 3 first-round picks on, traded 2 away, used 1 on them, 3 total. Maybe they do kind of, I don't know. It's kind of weird how they handle business sometimes. But I will say this, because listen, I was on Spaces listening. I like to just go on Spaces, listen, and that helps me get like talking points to speak to y'all, talk about things that y'all want to hear, because I hear the conversation. People were up in arms about, like, they're going crazy over this whole thing. 49ers signing guys, lack thereof, not as active, all this, that, and the other. And I'm like, man, y'all going crazy over this stuff. But I do think, it would help the 49ers get better by moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo now and being able to utilize that money and throw some resources around that roster to improving around your young quarterback. But here we go, man. It's that time. If you're new to this, you'll see what we're doing here. We come on live. I like to look at this as more of a radio show. All right. So come on live. Whatever's on your mind, let's talk about it. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is the time where you get your voice. All right. Croc, you're hella wrong. And tell me why I'm wrong. And y'all know what I say, it ain't Bible. I just kind of give my thought process on things and how I see it. And how I watch a lot of football, so I'll give other, examples of situations and things like that. But I ain't, I'm not in here to be like right. Obviously I want to be right, of course. But it's really, we're having conversation. We're having conversation. I give my opinion. I would love to hear yours. What other signings do you think they might do? Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. I did see someone post, though. I did see someone post that, and he posted this on March 6th. It was one of his takeaways from the combine. And his takeaways was, the first takeaway, and he tweet, again, this tweet was from March 6th. Saints interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. This is March 6th. Saints interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. Excuse me. Yeah. And Charvarius Ward, 49ers interest in Charvarius Ward. So there were 2 things there. We'll see. Dude was right on Ward. And he kind of just, I don't know. It didn't look like, oh, I want to be right. It was just like, hey, some rumors that were interesting. Jimmy to the Saints and Charvarius Ward to the 49ers. He hit on one of those. Let's see if he can hit on the other one. Here we go real quick. I got my guy Simon coming on. Simon, good morning. How you doing? Simon, you're muted.
Oh, yeah. Hi, how are you? I'm doing well.
Good. What's on your mind?
So, generally wanted to talk about the Charvarius Ward signing. So one thing that makes me pretty excited about this signing is that I think that the defensive system, and I'm not an expert on this, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I think that the 49ers defensive system is more friendly for cornerbacks than what the Chiefs are running, because they play a lot of very aggressive man-to-man coverage. They play a lot of blitzes, and I think it may be assumed that life is easier for a cornerback if you drop 7 people in the coverage like the Niners usually do, than if you drop, say, 5 or 6.
I can see
So
that. Yeah, I can see that. The 49ers definitely, and I know a lot of fans complain about it, right? Like 49ers playing so soft. They're giving up the underneath passes and things like that. Uh, Maybe there was an element to bend but don't break. Maybe it was like that because you know how confident were the 49ers in their corners. And maybe that's why they went and got Ward. And they're like, hey, we got to play a certain type of football and we need to go and get a guy like Ward. Maybe that's the way they viewed it. But they did play a lot of quarters. They did play a lot of off. You know, the Chiefs definitely were more aggressive with the ways that they played their corner position. But, you know, if you have guys that can do that, awesome. I think having Manuel Mosley, Ambry Thomas, and Charvarius Ward, if you want to go to more of a man team, I think those guys can do it. I
yeah,
think they can do it.
definitely. And in my
So
opinion,
if
you
I'm the
also have
49ers, I want to get more aggressive. I want to send more blitzes. I want to rush quarterbacks more off of their spots. I want to make them panic. I want to make them throw the ball before they really want to. Play more man coverage. That's what that does.
yeah, definitely. And I think also you have to take into account here that if Trey Lance is going to be what we think he's going to be, then we can afford to play more aggressively on defense, not only because we have better cornerbacks, but also because if somebody messes up and misses that one-on-one, man-on-man assignment without safety help, and even if it results in a touchdown, the belief might be that Trey Lance will be able to make up for it easily with that offense and the weapons. Whereas with Jimmy Garoppolo, you can't always be sure about that. I think that if Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback that the 49ers believed he's going to be with 3 first-round picks, uh, giving up some more points is going to be less consequential. And in turn, that could allow the Miko Ryans to call more aggressive plays, try to get more turnovers, etc.
So you're saying like have more of a high risk, high reward
Yeah,
type defense.
definitely. So I haven't been watching football long enough to know how the Chiefs played their defense before they got on Patrick Mahomes. Uh, but I think they wouldn't be able to get as good of a defense and as good of a result as they had on defense, if not for Patrick Mahomes and the fact that they were able to score quickly. And one more thing I wanted to touch on.
Mhm.
Yesterday during the streams, some people were commenting that, oh, Ward commits pass interferences when he gets burned. And honestly, I do not understand why that's a bad thing. Because, in my opinion, the penalties in the NFL are structured in a way where there are very often situations where committing a penalty is more beneficial to just letting the play out. If you're not in a position to make a play on the ball, I think it's better to commit pass interference and give up a 20-yard gain than give up a touchdown. So, like, it's definitely better to not commit a penalty slow, but I just think that in some cases, I'd rather have a cornerback commit pass interference than just let the wide receiver make the catch. Similarly, like, sometimes it's better to let the offensive lineman hold instead of getting a sack and losing 10 yards and a down.
Right. Yeah, I got you. I got you. And I
Okay.
appreciate you coming on, Simon.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time and have a nice day.
All right, you too. Here we go. I saw a good little comment here before we get into the next caller. My guy JM617. Everyone says we got torched. Everyone says Ward got torched by Jamar. Like this secondary doesn't get burnt on a regular. I would say, well, one, I think you kind of exaggerated the 49ers secondary getting burnt on a regular. Number 6 pass defense in the NFL. Now, do I think they were as good to the numbers? I would say the eye test tells me no, they weren't as great. But I do think it's exaggerated to say they got burnt on a regular. You should watch some other defenses in the NFL. Some guys were really getting torched. 49ers, it wasn't, I don't think it was as bad as a lot of around the league. Matter of fact, the numbers say it wasn't as bad. But yeah, everybody gets beat by Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and AJ Brown and all these receivers that are really good, right? But if everyone gets beat by these guys in Ward, then why do you pay a guy like Ward so much money if he's going to get done? If the same thing that happened to, let's say, Ambry Thomas against Jamar Chase is going to happen to Ward as well? That's my question in the sense of paying a guy that much more money. Now, that's not to say that I don't like Ward, or that's not to say that I don't think he's a good corner. What I saw was definitely a good corner that challenges receivers. But still, the things against Chase that happened to everybody else happened to him as well. So what are we looking for? I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Jamar Chase beat everybody on the regular. Here's a good one. Hold on. Where you at? We didn't give up explosive plays. I think 49ers gave up like the least amount of explosive plays in the NFL in the passing game. Here we go. Got my guy, Medic Mike, coming on. Good morning, Medic Mike. Are you drinking hot chocolate or is that coffee?
Oh, that's coffee. Need my coffee this morning because I woke up and chose violence this morning. Like,
okay, I'm here for it.
Oh man. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking about the secondary. Like, what do people expect? I see people, oh, Charvarius Ward, he gets beat by this, or our secondary was giving up this. You have to look at defense. It's team defense. You look at defense as a whole. Your best corner on the best secondary is still got beat. I can pull up tape where he got beat. He got beat for a touchdown. Like, I don't know what people's expectations are. I like this. I give the signing like a B plus. I think he's a good player. I like the
signing too. Just to be clear, I like the signing too. But go ahead.
Yeah, he's a good player. I think it helps us that we can, when we go nickel, which we play about 65, 70% of the time, you can slide E-Man into that nickel role because he has that type of versatility, and then you can play Thomas and Ward on the outside. Now you're also starting to look at a secondary, which their strength is press. So on third downs, you can be more aggressive. You can get in people's face because you have these lengthy corners who excel at pressing receivers. But yeah, people, say, oh, this got beat, that got beat. Man, I'm so sick of that. Like our corner, we needed depth at cornerback, but it wasn't just trash. It wasn't just trash. We were top 10 in all important metrics when you look at it. People, oh, Josh Norman was getting beat. Was Josh Norman on our roster week one? No, we signed him because our QB1, our CB1, and our CB2 both got hurt. Then we went and signed Josh Norman because we're like, well, we had a rookie who we're trying to develop, who we knew was going to take time in the weight room to get better, get his strength back. He opted out a year. He was sick. I'm talking about Ambry Thomas, lost all this weight. They knew he was going to have to get his weight back up, get back into really playing shape and get that NFL strength on him. So they had a plan. They got injuries week one. And then that plan, okay, well, now we got to adjust. And we were still top 10 in those metrics with running Josh Norman out there, running Diamador Lenore out there. All the people who were there from like week 3 to week 8, you didn't even see in the playoffs. What other secondary could you say could have done that? What other secondary would have been top 10 signing dudes off the street? And you're like, oh, yeah, my CB1 and my CB2 got hurt. I can't name one. So, I think there's zero perspective when it comes to our secondary. We played very well. When you look at the points allowed, number 9. Look at yards allowed. With that, we were number 3. And just like you said, adding in the PI yards, okay, let's drop 17 yards on top of that. I guarantee we're still top 10 in yards. So, let's keep it real when we're looking at our secondary. Yes, we needed depth, but it wasn't nearly as bad as people say. And sometimes I think people just look at our games. They see someone get beat, and they're like, oh, our secondary is terrible. If you turn on Red Zone, you're watching Justin Jefferson go for $150 every week. You're watching Cooper Kupp go for 150 to 180 every week. You're watching Jamar Chase torch people for 200 yards. Like, this is what the league has come into. You want an opportunistic defense. You want a defense that bends, that doesn't, but doesn't break. You want a team that plays good team defense. Team defense. Everybody. All 11 players. Your pass rush is going to help your secondary. Your secondary is going to help your pass rush. Vice versa. Your defense is going to help your offense by getting off the field. Your offense is going to help the defense by actually able to stay on the field and score points. Guess what? If your offense puts up 30 points, your defense looks better and you're winning more games because they don't have to hold people to 16.7 points a game in the playoffs like we did. So that's what I got to say on our secondary. Also, Jimmy's gone.
I like it.
Yeah,
Jimmy's gone.
Jimmy's
So
gone.
when do you think he's going?
I think he's gone today. You got to be under the cap by tomorrow. We restructured D Ford and cleared up $5 million, but if we're signing Charvarius Ward and he's getting $9 million guaranteed, you think he's just going to wait out to sign his contract until we clear that space? Free agency starts tomorrow. He's going to be like, yo, where's my contract? Let's put pen to paper. If we're not under the cap by that amount, and we needed to clear $9 million just to get under the cap. So I think there's going to be either a huge restructure or he's gone. To cut Jimmy makes zero sense. Let's put that out there. If they cut Jimmy, the front office failed. Because even if you get a 7th-round pick for him, that's more than nothing. So if you cut him, you failed. And I don't believe them to be that incompetent. I just don't believe that. So,
right. I don't think so either. I like your rant on the secondary. And again, that is not to say, and I think you agree with me. I'm not saying Ward is a bad signing. Are you saying that?
No, I like him as a player. Like, he has length, he presses, and I think we needed something like that. But I think a lot of people get caught up in the big names. They're like, we didn't get J.C. Jackson. We didn't get Stephon Gilmore. Kind of everyone else is trash. Our corners are trash. A lot of people forget how many people they wanted, and that just didn't pan out. I remember when everyone was like, "Oh, we need to go get Le'Veon Bell. We need to go get Le'Veon Bell." Trash the rest of his career. Oh, we need to go get this player. We need to go get this player, and they turn out being bums. But we don't sign them. They turn out being nobodies, and everyone forgets about it. Everyone always wants to clamor at the big names. So I personally like the signing. I think we needed depth, like quality depth. And I think he is.
And he's not the depth. I mean, he's the starter, but it creates depth with guys like Ambry Thomas. Yeah,
exactly. I think Ambry becomes now your QB or your CB3. And him only going into a second year, I think he has a lot of upside and room to grow. So I like that plan. But yeah, I actually like the signing. Like, I don't think he's like J.C. Jackson good, because J.C. Jackson was Ward, but took the ball away, which I think is an even bigger plus. But I do like the Ward signing. I think it makes our secondary better. But yeah, I don't think, like, I'm not caught up on we have to go get Gilmore. We have to have J.C. Jackson. Yo, we got a good player in Ward, but our secondary is not trash. Let's not get it twisted.
Right. And I like, and then you see this here, 35 guarded the best wide receiver for the Chiefs every given Sunday. And I have to go and look that, but I do know I watched him against Buffalo in the playoffs, and he was kind of switching sides. Now, I didn't see, was he switching sides because he was a field boundary thing, or is it because, hey, I'm going everywhere Diggs is going? But I did like what I see with him versus Diggs. Like, that looked good. That looked good. There was good stuff. So this is a guy that's really good. And I saw someone else say, hey, the only time he got beat was Jamar Chase. My thing is, like, awesome. Like, that's great. How I think the question I'm trying to ask here, because I keep going back to this one thing, and then it's hard for me to really articulate what I'm trying to say here is, but, and maybe you can help me with this before we get to the next call. I got a few guys waiting right now, but I watched the Buffalo torch the Patriots with J.C. Jackson on the field, and there was only 4 incomplete passes, 5 touchdowns, over 300 yards, 70%, whatever. It was crazy, right? How does having, or clearly, I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. J.C. Jackson couldn't help them.
Right.
As opposed to the 49ers having these sorry corners, or however everybody views them. The 49ers gave up 47 points combined in the playoffs. See what I'm saying? Now I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the impact in the results of a game with having, you know, a top 3 corner. How much does that impact the final score of a game, as opposed to not having it with what the 49ers had last year? Now, I'm not saying that I think Ward's good. For everything I saw, he was good. But I also made a comment about it doesn't move the needle. And for me, the reason was because, well, I see a 49er team that still played good defense. And I thought if they just had a little bit more offense, they probably would have won the Super Bowl. So that's just kind of maybe you can help articulate what I'm trying to say there, because I think I'm kind of going around here.
No, I get exactly what you're trying to say. And I think what you're alluding to is the totality of the defense. Like, that one player is one small part. You know, you have an entire scheme. You have a pass rush. All of that affects. Your best corner in his prime isn't covering someone for 6-7 seconds. So when you have a quarterback who can make off-schedule plays and do that, and you have a defensive line that can't contain them, it's going to negatively impact your secondary. There's so many little parts, and there's so much nuance to the game that It's a totality of a defense. So you have to look at the scheme, you have to look at the pass rush, and then you have to look at an individual player and say, hey, putting this player into this situation, not just a secondary, in this entire defensive situation, is it going to upgrade from here? And if it might, all right, it's going to make you incrementally better. Unless you're adding a couple pieces or someone like, and this is why I'm so big on pass rush, a pass rusher, they can affect run plays, they can affect pass plays, they can affect something every down. Your corner on the backside usually isn't affecting a run play. Your corner sometimes on the strong side isn't really affecting a run play. So your pass rush has the ability to affect it every down. So that dude like J.C. Jackson, if your safeties are lacking, your linebackers are lacking in coverage, or your other corner, it don't matter that he shuts that side down from, the hash to the sideline. It doesn't matter because you got 67% the rest of your field to work with. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's what you're trying to say. It's more the totality of the defense. It's not one guy that's going to come in and be a miracle cure. You need everything.
Well, I think what I'm saying is, how much better are the results going to be from what the 49ers got last year?
And you can't.
Are they going to go from the number 6 pass defense to the number 1 pass defense? Are they going to go from the number 9 points defense to the number 2 point defense or whatever? I think that's what I'm asking. Because overall, the results of the 49ers, bad secondary players or whatever, it wasn't as much of an issue as people make it out to be. That's what I'm saying.
Right. And you're 100% right, because if you're sitting there at number 6 and number 1 is all the room you have to move, when you're number 24, 23, 22, you have a lot more room for improvement. There's a lot more spots you can climb. You could climb 12 spots and you're still not in the top 10. So you could get way better and you're still not there. So when you're so good, you can only improve marginally. And I think that's what you mean by not really moving the needle. You're only going to see a couple plays maybe here, there. Like, you're only going to have marginal improvements because you're already a very good unit. You're number 3 in yards. Number 3 in yards. You can skip 2 teams. That's it.
Right. Now, again, maybe it puts the 49ers over the top. Maybe the 49ers say, you know what, we're going to do some things that we haven't done. We're going to have you shadow guys and do all those things. And if so, and it makes that big difference, and the 49ers play more man coverage, and you see it just kind of pay off from that standpoint, I love it. Medic Mike, man, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Hey, appreciate you, Croc.
All right. Here we go. I've been having my guy K Nice waiting patiently.
What up, Croc?
Man, good morning. How you doing? Good to see you again.
Pretty good, man. I just want to say today, man, I appreciate you, man. It's good listening to somebody that's coming from a player's perspective. I think that's kind of what you're dealing with. We have the casual fan, and then you have the player or the coach perspective. Like, I was a coach for a long time, and before I became a coach, I was that fan. See a guy get beat, we need to get rid of him, we need to do this. But once I started coaching, man, it changed my whole perspective of how I watch football. And I think that's what we're dealing with now. We have the casual people looking at it, and they're like, oh, Cooper Kupp touched us. We need a lockdown corner. There ain't no lockdown corner for these receivers nowadays. Like, the NFL wants more points. People want to see high scoring. That's why the rules are the way they are. Ramsey is the closest we're going to get to that. And, I mean, besides Ramsey, there's not too many other corners in the league that are just shut down. So I think I'm with you. I've always agreed with you on that point. I think.
And real quick, and even Ramsey has his moments, right? I mean, everybody talks about what happened in the Super Bowl where he gave up however many yards and touchdown and all that type of stuff, right? But also, if you take it just 2 games prior or 1 game prior, 2 games when the Bucks and the Rams played, he almost single-handedly lost the game because he was getting torched by Mike Evans. So it's like it kind of happens to the best of guys depending on what you're putting on them. But go ahead.
That's the part of being a corner. You got to forget about it and move on to the next play because you're going to get beat. It's just part of the position. So I think people are kind of overreacting. Earlier you were talking about how they played Ambry in more off coverage instead of man coverage. I think DeMarco, I think he wants to play more man. I think that's where he was originally trying to do. I think the injuries and everything kind of changed everything, so he had to put a Band-Aid on it. It's even though that Band-Aid ended up looking pretty good for our secondary on the season, but I think that's kind of where they're trying to go. Like, I was listening to you earlier, and I'm thinking like Mosley might be our replacement slot guy. I think Mosley might be K'Wan Williams' replacement, and then you play Thomas on the outside. You got what's the name who we just got on the other side, and then you bring Barrett back for a cheap deal, and he could easily be their starting role if he comes back healthy and playing well. And then we got, Thomas as the backup or whatever happens with that. So I think our secondary is in a good place. I see where they were going with this signing. I think they want to run more man coverage. They want to be aggressive. Because one of the things that people don't talk about is Jimmy Ward is great in man coverage. Really good at man coverage. You got Fred Warner, who's a great cover guy. So I think they want to.
And I see someone say, out of necessity, 49ers have to play more zone than man. I think they actually have man guys. Like Ambry Thomas is a man corner. At Michigan, he was a man corner. He was a press in your face guy. And the 49ers are like, no, play off. And I think he struggled with that early on, that transition, and continued to kind of struggle with it and still trying to find his place in the defense and how to play the way that they want him to play. I'm not sure, and this is, where is it right here? I'm not sure it's as simple as just they had to play more zone out of necessity. Now, when Josh Norman's on the field, yes, 100%.
Yes.
But you won't see Josh Norman in the 49er uniform again. If we're planning on, we got Ward, Charvarius Ward, we got Jimmy Ward, we got Mosley, we got Ambry Thomas. Like those guys can play man coverage. So we will see if they do more of that. But when it comes playoff time, when the 49ers had Emmanuel Mosley and Ambry Thomas out there, like those are man guys.
I definitely think that's what they want to do. Like, I agree with you. I think our offense is the issue. I mean, our defense did what they can do, especially in the day's age where everything is tailored to the offense. Our defense played really well in the playoffs. I just think it's hard on the defense when your offense is constantly going 3 and out. They're not moving the ball. There's that random just turnover from Jimmy that happens once a game. I think it's for our defense to play the way they did with our offense playing as inconsistent as they was. Our defense was great. I don't think our defense is the problem. I definitely think we need depth, but we got to figure out offense. We got to score points. I think Trey is going to help that, but we have to see how that play out. But man, I definitely agree with you on this cornerback secondary situation. I think people are kind of overreacting and they're looking into this too much. One of my buddies is the same way. He's like, Cooper Kupp, man. I'm like, man, he is killing everybody. Like, I mean, for you to put up the yards that you put up on the season, you are killing everybody. There is nobody slowing you down or stopping you. So, man, I appreciate you, Craig. I always appreciate your perspective, man. Glad I've been able to listen to you. Thank you for letting me come on. I'm going to let you get to the next caller.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on, bro.
All right.
Here we go. Coming up now, I got Andrew Leggett. And Andrew, I got to ask you, where the hell are you? Because that background is beautiful.
I'm on the 12th floor of the Hyatt, right here across the street from Port of San Francisco. Got the Bay Bridge.
Okay.
I'm doing some construction work today. Hey, but
awesome.
I was thinking, with this Ward signing, that you think it would be more likely that he'd be CB1, Mosley is 2, with Diamador in the nickel, or you think of Rhett comes back as CB2 with Mosley in the nickel, and then you have Diamador Lenore backing him up, and Thomas coming off the bench for the outside.
If I had to guess, to me, I think Ward and Mosley are just starting outside guys, unless just something happens and Ambry Thomas just beats out Mosley. I don't anticipate that happening, but I've seen weirder things happen. All right, but I think your outside guys are Ward and Mosley, and I think there's a scenario where, depending on how they feel about that nickel position, if Mosley is their best nickel, they could play him there and maybe Lenore back him up, and you have Ambry Thomas come in and play nickel defense, but on the outside. And I would be comfortable with that, especially if you're playing more man coverage. But who knows? If Diamador Lenore comes in and he takes that next step in as a nickel guy, and we'll see what their thoughts are on that once OTAs and everything starts. But if they're like, all right, Lenore, we're going to train you as a pure nickel, and he just takes control of that role, which I think he's good there. One thing I thought about Lenore, just a straight line vertical speed, a little questionable, but he was on everything moving underneath, and he challenges guys. I think Lenore would be a really good nickel if he gets his mind right. So we'll see what happens there. All
right. Well, I got my coworker waiting for me. I'll put him on hold for a little bit, so I'm gonna get going.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. That was a really nice view. Really nice view. Here we go. Coming on now. We got Swan Song. Swan Song, I know you was on here yesterday, man. What's on your mind?
What's up, Croc? Yeah, I was just, I heard you bring this up, last week, couple weeks. I thought about it too, but it makes sense what you're saying about like, hey, your quarterbacks, unless you have a Jalen Ramsey or, Xavier Howard, whoever you think the top corners are in the league, those guys still get burnt, right? It's just the nature of the game, right? I mean, sure, they're going to be better than the next, right? But unless you get one of those guys, everything else is kind of like what you said, kind of like they're all kind of the same-ish, right? And the analogy that I try to think of when you're just to make me understand it, it's kind of like getting a bulletproof vest, right? Let's say a top corner is a bulletproof vest, right? Mm-hmm. And then everyone below that is just a bulletproof vest that kind of works. You know what I mean? so it's like if you don't get that bulletproof vest, then is it worth it? Because if you get shot in the chest, you're just gonna get shot anyways. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
so then my theory on how the 49ers secondary looked as good as it is, obviously the pass rush is amazing, right? The other thing is it because our safeties are so good? They were getting, Ambry and them were getting a lot of help, right? They were getting a lot of help from our safeties, and that kind of stopped the bleeding, right? When gosh, I can't think of our defensive coordinator's name.
DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah, when DeMeco Ryans made that change, right? I don't remember what week it was, but he started making a change where, okay, we're not just going to leave Ambry alone. We're not going to leave, these guys alone. And it started doing better. We started seeing less flags, less big plays, and that was a good thing. So I want to ask you this. We don't know what's going to happen with Tart. I hope we bring him back. But who knows? Some desperate team might pay him $6-7 million, and the Niners probably not willing to pay that. But Justin Reed just left to go to, where do you end up? KC,
yeah,
right?
I believe it was Kansas City.
Like, would you have been happier if we didn't hear this Charvarius Ward? Now, I don't mind this Charvarius Ward. At first, I was like, what? Who was that? Right? So then they showed some of his like advanced stats, and they look pretty damn good, right? I saw some highlights of him, look pretty damn good. He's always looking back at the ball, and it doesn't seem like he gets totally. He's like a lot of the times he's step in step with the wide receiver. But I mean, granted, those are highlights. So, but would you have rather not have this Charvarius Ward signing, and then if we had signed Justin Reed for $10 million, that would have gotten me more excited?
To me, it depends on what are they going to do with Ward, right? If you're telling me that they're going to play a lot more man coverage and they're going to challenge Ward, we think you have this terrific skill set. You challenge receivers very well. We're going to have you shadow the opposing team's best receiver, especially on third downs. If you're telling me that the 49ers are going to do that with him, then I would say I would rather have Ward than Reed.
Okay,
now,
right on.
If you tell me, oh, no, we're just going to play our quarters and off coverage, and yeah, we paid you $13 million or $14 million, whatever it is, but you're just going to play off, which I don't think is the strength of Charvarius Ward, I would say, yeah, like let's go with Justin Reed. So to me, it depends. Is there going to be a kind of a change in philosophy for the 49ers? Are they going to put more responsibility on their corners? And if that's why you paid him, then I would go with Ward. Yes.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. And the pros that I was thinking too is that, remember DeMeco Ryans was saying when he took over for Saleh, he was saying that they were going to blitz more. Remember that was one of the things that what he was going to say. And then Kyle was like, Saleh never gambled, right? Or something. He made some funny comment about Saleh never wanting to gamble or something like that. I can't remember.
Hey, and real quick, you're talking about that, and people kind of gloss over this play. Game was, I don't want to say on the line, but it was kind of on the line against the Dallas Cowboys late in that game. The 49ers on fourth down, it was fourth down. The play before Cowboys, the drive before the Cowboys' last drive.
They did a blitz, zero, right?
Zero blitz. He sent the house. He sent everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody he could send, he sent them. And that forced Dak Prescott to make an errant throw. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, clearly he wants to be more aggressive. And maybe having a cornerback like Ward allows him to do so. And if he does, then I definitely see much more of an impact for Charvarius Ward.
And then with him as well, we're going to be able to have a defense that's more, like way more dynamic in a sense that he can scheme it, what he can do the quarters that you say, or then he can go back to like having Charvarius Ward. You get what I'm trying to say? Like they can do man, they can do zone, they can mix it up. They won't be the same type of, they don't have to be the same type of secondary, right? So it's going to be a new look for other teams as well, right? With Charvarius Ward there. So that's kind of exciting. I'm just trying to make sense of it because when I first saw it, I don't get me wrong, when I saw the number, when I was like, dude, he's only $2.5 million less a year than freaking JC Jackson. Damn, we lost that. Like how? Like, so I'm still kind of wrap my head around that.
I'll say this: Were you on to start this show?
No, I caught it late.
All right. So the advanced stats or whatever, next gen stats on Charvarius Ward in coverage, they are off the charts. Like they're off the charts. So, obviously you see a JC Jackson. I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is he takes the ball away. Again, a lot of this is going to be predicated on what are you doing with Charvarius Ward? Are you giving him more responsibility? All right. But if you are, completion percentage allowed first in the NFL, expected completion percentage allowed first in the NFL, yards per target third in the NFL, passer rating against him third in the NFL, tight window rate first in the NFL. So, I think to get him
that sounds pretty good. Yeah.
It
sounds pretty good.
It doesn't get better than that from an advanced metric set. Now, again, that's just the stats I see right now. And this is with a minimum of 40 targets. So that's a big group of players.
Yeah.
I think that is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
I just hope the 49ers utilize this and all right, let's do more with them.
Yeah, because when I first saw the deal, I didn't see those advanced stats until later on in the day, yesterday. And because I put in his PFF grade, and his PFF grade was low. I was like, what? They're paying $13 million for a 67 PFF grade? But I don't know, because PFF grades can be wrong on some players, right? Like, there's certain times when you look at PFF grade and you're like, no way. Like, Tom Compton's is like 80-something or something crazy like that. It's like sometimes I don't know about PFF. But
well, they grade different, right? Like the numbers I just listed off, that's just that's you can't argue with that.
Okay, those are pure numbers.
These are pure numbers. Like these are facts. PFF is more how they feel a certain play was supposed to play out. And that's why a lot of times you see NFL players have issue or take issue with PFF because like, how do you know
they don't know the responsibility
to give me a negative play?
Okay, right. That makes me excited. Okay, that's a good thing. And another silver lining I have too is, dude, if we got JC Jackson, right? If we got him yesterday, dude, how many we're gonna win the Lombardis would you see on Twitter if we had gotten that, right? How many would you see? That's it. We're going, boy. We're getting our six. We're getting our six. That's it. Like for sure, there would be so many tweets about that. So this isn't a good thing because it's kind of like a low key, right? Like, I mean, as you're explaining all this to me, I'm getting very excited about Charvarius Ward, right? And then if to the normal, like to other casual fans, right? They probably think like they're probably barfing, right? Like what? Ugh, we lost on JC because that's all we hear, right? All we hear is JC Jackson, right? So it's like I'm glad that you guys are spreading the word. But this gets me excited about what's going on. Another thing is,
man. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one more last thing. We need to do something at offensive line, right?
Yeah, okay. Now, you are also talking to someone who is the ultimate believer in player development. And, I trust that these guys are doing everything possible to make themselves better. And if you believe in player development as well, then there should be some confidence that a guy like Aaron Banks and maybe him going back to left guard, competing for that spot, he potentially can hold on to that. You hope so, right? Whatever they saw in him is like, all right, Aaron Banks, I hope you can become that. I think that is a tall task because I didn't like Aaron Banks coming out of college. I didn't think he was very good, but if you believe in player development, I think there's a scenario where he does improve. Now, can you get, is Matt coming back? Has he committed to playing this upcoming season? Potentially sign a guard in free agency or a center. There's a guy, Daniel something that everybody loves from the Chicago Bears. I don't know. I ain't gonna watch them, but yeah, I think there are definitely areas where they can improve, and I knew they would have to improve if they lost Laken Tomlinson, which I mean for $14 million a year, I'm not surprised they let him walk.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. That sucks. I like Laken. He only missed 2 snaps in 5 years. That's crazy. But yeah, man. Thanks for taking my call, and I'll be listening right after.
All right, appreciate you. Here we go. Hold on. See, there's one thing right here. I love when, like, being on this channel right now, on the show, having your own YouTube platform, and obviously this is your platform too. But I can talk about these things as opposed to some tweets. And sometimes I wonder, like when I see messages like that, and shout out to my guy Lester. All right, but he said, I told you guys you would eat your words about Ward. He way better than Thomas. Crop, stop going on about that one play. Once again, he's a lot better than Thomas. Let's go Niners. I've never, and this is the part I don't understand how some people miss this. I never said he was not better than Thomas. That was never my thing. I'm not going on about one play. My thing, and it was multiple plays, but my thing is what Ambry Thomas, he gets beat by Jamar Chase. Everybody gets up in arms. Charvarius Ward, he gets beat by Jamar Chase. Everybody gets beat by Jamar Chase. Right? So my thing is how much more does he move the needle from the overall production of what the 49ers got from their defense last year? Does he make the 49ers pass defense go from 6th to 1st? Does he make the 49ers, who were like top 10 in every pass defense damn near, right? Like, does he make all those things go from top 10 to top 3? Does he generate more interceptions and takeaways than what the 49ers had last year? Which we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he does. My thing was never that he's not better. My thing was never that he's not much better. My thing was how much more does it move the needle from the production overall that the 49ers got. I mean, you can even throw in sorry-ass Josh Norman into that. How much more does he move the needle? That's my thing. I ain't saying he's not better. I'm not saying I don't like the signing. I ain't saying that, oh, man, they wasted money. I'm not saying he ain't going to replace Ambry Thomas. Like, what are we talking about here? That all I'm saying is how much more does it move the needle from the overall production as the 49ers got last year from the secondary? 49ers gave up 47 points in the playoffs. 47 total against the Cowboys, high scoring offense in the league, high power. Packers, high power. Rams, high power. 47. Rams, lowest point total of the playoffs. Right? With those guys. Right? Because to me, that's what matters most, points. Is Ward going to make the 49ers go from 47 total points in the playoffs to 30 points total in the playoffs? Like, that's my question. I hope that makes sense. I don't understand how, like, is being confused with what I'm saying. Maybe I'm not articulating it good enough. Appreciate everybody that's in here. I just started a couple tweets. My bad. Here we go. With Ward's addition, losing Tomlinson plus DJ Jones, Niners are a net and talent loss so far. Great one here. It depends on if they feel like they can they replace, is it easier to replace Tomlinson as it is, as opposed to trying to get better at the cornerback position? I think DJ Jones, he's a good football player. I don't know if you're going to miss DJ Jones. I think 49ers, you bring back guys like, and again, he did a lot of really good things, and he has some awesome barbecue sauce. I love barbecue sauce. I think you throw a lot of guys at the position. I'm assuming they want Kinlaw to play there. You'll have Kinlaw kind of in that defensive tackle spot and not necessarily as a 3-tech. You got guys like Mo Hurst coming back. Can he stay healthy on the field? If so, there's a guy you got there. Kevin Givens. I've always loved Kevin Givens. I feel like he can be utilized a little bit more. I like him as a really almost down there like a 3 or 4 down guy. So I don't know if DJ Jones is as big a loss. Now, if you say Tomlinson plus DJ Jones, I get where you're coming from. But then when you look at the financial ramifications of that, that would be tough because we're talking about they got paid some good money between those two guys. Tomlinson, to me, that's the bigger hit. But when you see he got paid $14 million, I see how it would be hard to, kind of compete with that. I could see that. Here we go. Blaze, you're on. How you doing? Good morning.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you feeling today?
I was thinking about what we should do on offense. Like, I think we should go out and sign like a deep threat for Trey Lance so we can get the ball down the field.
All right. And now, what type of deep threat are you talking about? Like, are you talking about via free agency or the draft?
Yeah, like free agency, maybe like Valdez Scantling since he plays in similar offense in Green Bay.
Now that's a signing that I see a lot of people definitely interested. Here's my thing. I don't know how much these receivers are getting paid right now. So you look at Valdez Scantling. I saw what Christian Kirk got on the open market, and we're talking, and if that's what Valdez Scantling is going to get, or even if it's not as much as Christian Kirk, but more than Zay Jones, I don't think the 49ers do that. Like, you're not paying a guy $12, $13, $14 million a year when you have Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle.
Maybe like Deshaun Jackson, because he'll be cheaper since he's old.
I could see them potentially bringing in a Deshaun Jackson. Yep.
Another thing I had was I know Miles Jack, he just got released, or rumored to be released from Schefter.
Yep.
You think he could play safety? I know he did in college. You think he's too stiff?
Nah, he was a linebacker in college. He was a linebacker and running back at UCLA.
Oh, I thought he played safety too.
Nah, linebacker and running back.
Okay, well, that's all I had.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming on.
No problem. See ya.
All right. Stop saying George Kittle, the guy is a blocker. Listen, I know. If anybody's frustrated with George Kittle's usage, it's me. It's me. What benefit would Troy Anderson add to our defense? Troy Anderson is the linebacker, ran very well, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the fastest linebacker at the combine. Played multiple positions, maybe started out as a quarterback, played some safety, linebacker. If I know anything about the 49ers, I know they like their guys that played safety and end up playing linebacker. I think all three linebackers right now that the 49ers kind of have going on, Fred Warner, Azeez Al-Shaair, and Drake Greenlaw, they've all played like safety as well and then kind of moved to linebackers. So, I haven't watched Anderson's film. I know what he did. We've talked about it on the show, but I have not like specifically watched him to give like a legit take on it. But it sounds like he's a guy that the 49ers like, which has that kind of like Swiss Army knife versatility. So I think from that standpoint, they like him. Mike said I skipped his. Mike, where was your super chat? I'll try to find it. Get Von Miller, draft Christian Watson, go crazy. That is something that they can potentially do there. Obviously, I would be excited about that. But, just for the purposes of, team building. 49ers do have Ebukam. How much do they like him? Do you take Von Miller? Which I would. Okay, sign Von Miller. Man, you see how the way he finished that year? Here we go. Do you go with Von Miller or do you go Von Miller or a combination of like Ebukam, Arden Key? Actually, shoot, if you can, Ebukam not going anywhere. So if you can get Ebukam and add Von Miller, I like that. I see people in here say Rams ain't letting Von Miller go. Didn't I see something about the Rams are restructuring contracts? Did I see something about Von Miller going to the Broncos? And he was like, what number should I wear? Shout out to my guy, Medic Mike said, thanks for having me on. Also, almost at 10,000. Let's go. Hey, we're trying to get to 10,000 subscriptions. So make sure if y'all not already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on so you're notified when I go live. Which we try to go live here Monday through Thursday right now, Monday through Friday when the season comes, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. J Law, good morning.
My guy. Good morning, Crocky.
How you doing? You were up late with me last night. It was past midnight, my time. We were on here live, but we're up. We're ready to go, man. Get this day started.
Heck yeah, brother. No, that's the way I like to start and end my days. Niner football. I'm all about it.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna name off a list real quick, and I want your professional opinion on this list that I'm about to give you, on whether or not it sounds like an impressive backfield or not. Because my opinion, as just the standard Niners fan, it sounds really impressive. Starting with the safeties, Ward, potentially Tart. And then we have our new addition, which is Charvarius Ward. We have Mosley on the other side. Rotating in Thomas, Lenore, Barrett, if he comes back. And then for middle linebacker and linebacker positions, we have Warner, Alshire, and Greenlaw. Does that backfield not sound impressive?
Yeah, it does. And just being able to do things like that. One thing I know a lot of people have questioned some of the things that the 49ers are doing. I typically don't question them because I think the results kind of show, at least when they have competent quarterback play, they are a good team. So, whatever they do, whatever, with the backfield, linebackers, all that front, I stopped second guessing them. Now, are there some things that maybe I would do or wouldn't do? Like, of course, and maybe I'm wrong, but I typically don't go hard in on them, and I wait to see things play out. Now, I know that's not the cool thing to do when you are a content creator. A lot of people try to, I don't want to say want to create narratives, but they want to spin things a certain way to where maybe it benefits them. And I've done titles that were catchy, I guess you could say. But overall, as far as my content goes, I'm pretty, let's wait and see. And I try to just bring that perspective to my audience. But yeah, how much faith do you have in this organization that they're making the right moves?
Well, I feel like if anything, the last few years have shown us is that it feels like they're building it the right way. They're getting people and players in the building that have the right mentality. And I think that really showed last season more than anything else. Like the 2020 season was pretty rough with all the injuries and everything like that, but you never got the feeling from the players that the sky was falling. Like they still went out there to play football. Yeah. And that's
the sky was falling against Arizona. I don't know what the hell is going on with the defense in that game. The second Arizona game, Colt McCoy, that was the one game where I'm like, D'Amico Ryans is clearly not prepared because they were just screens and guys missing tackles, running in for touch. I mean, that was the worst. I don't want to say the worst game I've seen in the Shanahan regime, but it was one of them in the sense of, now that probably was the worst loss. And I'll say it was the worst loss because you're at home. You have an opportunity to get back on track by playing the Colts team that is down Kyler Murray, down DeAndre Hopkins, down AJ Green, down JJ Watt, and you get destroyed by Colt McCoy. That was probably, and the way it looked like the way it looked, like that was the worst Shanahan loss that I've seen. There are other games that they've lost, of course, but that was, and I guess it is bad losses when you blow 10-point leads or double-digit leads in the playoffs. That's not ideal. But that one was ugly because it's like you're supposed to destroy this team with Colt McCoy. But go ahead.
No, yes, I agree with everything you just said. I do agree that I think that was probably the most glaring loss in the Shanahan regime. But I also think because we saw D'Amico Ryans after that game become more aggressive. There were blitz packages that we started seeing on a semi-regular basis. We saw Warner kind of going into this spy type deal more often. So I think that was a learning curve for Ryans, at least that particular Cardinals game. But kind of just to roll back on what you were saying with one of your other callers there, Crocky, you were asking if you think the Charvarius Ward signing positively affects the outcome of the point spread. And really diving into the numbers last night while I was listening to you chat, just looking at the average amount of yardage that he's able to nullify on his side or whatever side he's covering, I think we're going to see a 3-point, slide in the negative or in the positive direction in our end per game, and it's going to be directly correlated to stops or passes batted down or interceptions happen because Charvarius Ward made it happen.
And that's huge. Real quick, my question wasn't that it can't happen. My question was, I was trying to wrap my head around what I was trying to say and trying to figure out a way to articulate it. I think you did a good job of explaining, and you gave me hey, this is what I think the result of it is going to be, and you said a 3-point difference. I would love that. I would love that, and I think that makes a huge difference. So thank you for that. Thank you.
No, my pleasure. I think that it's 100% completely possible and plausible that the addition that they've made now to the secondary allows the defense to be maintained and run the way that we saw it at its most efficient last season.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second. My wife texting me.
Tell the Wi-Fi say hello.
I will do that. And I think a lot of this signing too, and I think a lot of people may not be thinking about it in this direction. I think they went out and signed a top tier cornerback like they did because do we have good corners in the building? Yes, we do. Emmanuel Mosley is a great cornerback. He's a CB1, CB2, depending on the day. But there's a lot of potential with Ambry Thomas and Lenore, and I think the Charvarius Ward signing has a lot to do with them. I think they're bringing Charvarius Ward in to be that, what's the word I'm looking for? That example of how they should handle things. Man, my wife is on one at the moment. Just trying to get a hold of me. But I think that they're bringing Charvarius Ward in, one, not only just to lock down a specific cornerback one position, like they needed after Verrett got hurt, it was blatantly and glaringly obvious that we did not have a solid cornerback one, especially without Emmanuel Mosley being there to back up Brett when he got injured. So this signing, rolling back, I said all of that to kind of build on the question that you were asking me. Yes, I think the moves that the Niners current management and head coaching staff has made has given me a lot of faith that they're moving in the right direction. I have come this draft, they're going to pick up some oddball talents that no one ever saw or anticipated as being great at that position, and give us a year and all of a sudden he's one of the best players in the league. Because that's one thing they've been extremely consistent about over the last 5 years, 5 years, is finding, for lack of a better term, the diamonds in the rough, the Fred Warners, the George Kittles, the Deebo Samuels, like the DJ Jones and all those guys. Like they find these diamonds in the rough and they mold them into these very viable and usable pieces for the defense or offense, whatever side of the ball it is. Now, the one thing I haven't seen, which does give me some pause and leaves me wondering, was the progression and the evolution of their offensive line. Evolution from their offensive weapons like the running backs, the wide receivers, and we've seen great evolution from their defensive players. But the one thing we haven't seen is great growth or a whole lot of potential for greatness with the offensive line. We've seen a lot of from the offensive line, minus Trent Williams and Tom, Lincoln. And that broke my heart when I saw he was signing with the Jets. But it's going to be interesting because I do have to put faith in, again, what you were saying earlier. the process. I have to believe that they drafted Aaron Banks last year for a reason. Like they had an inkling that Tomlinson wasn't going to be around, so they went out and found somebody that they thought would be a good replacement for him. And I have to give faith that Aaron Banks is going to be a good replacement. I mean, if you stand next to Trent Williams and you do your job even to 70%, you're going to look great because Trent Williams is going to cover the rest of that 30%. So I don't know what you think, Crocky.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. At the end of the day, I don't know how much Trent Williams. You got to be. Most people would probably tell you that it's better to have everyone on your offensive line be average as opposed to having one elite guy and then 3 below average guys. You know what I'm saying? So I think the 49ers have to, at the very least, try to figure out a way to get average play out of everyone outside of Trent Williams. And if they could do that, then it could be a good offensive line, man. But J-Law, I appreciate you coming on, man. Get you off now.
I appreciate you, Crocky. You have a great rest of your morning.
All right. Shout out to everybody that's tuned into the chat. Got my guy Gold-Blooded here. Trade Greenlaw, sign Bobby Wagner. What do you think we can get for Greenlaw, and what would you get with him? I think the linebacker position, unless you're talking about unless you're talking about Fred Warner or something, I don't think you get much for trading a linebacker. It's almost like trading a running back, right? You can maybe get a 5th-round pick, maybe. And if you can get a 5th for Greenlaw, he was drafted for a 5th-round pick, so you kind of replace that. I think that would be good. But I don't know. I don't know how much you get for him. As far as Bobby Wagner goes, what's he worth now? Again, sometimes these guys are more name than play, right? Charvarius Ward, maybe they have the name, but if you look at the advanced stats, awesome. Doing a great job. So, I don't know, man. I don't know how good Bobby Wagner is. I wouldn't be like, oh, man, the 49ers didn't, but remember when the 49ers signed Darnell Dockett? And, like, whatever your response was with Darnell Dockett when he was signed, it was like, oh, yeah, Darnell Dockett. And it was like, he just never played as a 49er. Sometimes the name is just bigger. I don't know. I see my guy Wayne Jr. here. He said, man, y'all bugging. Greenlaw. No, I like Greenlaw. I love the way he plays. I love his mentality. I love his tenacity. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot for him because he's a linebacker. I just think linebackers, you just don't get a whole lot for him in trade value. I think it's kind of like the running back position. But, yeah, he's nice. I think 49ers, I think they have a good core. I wouldn't mess with the 49ers core. As long as you bring Azeez Al-Shaair back, Warner, Azeez, Greenlaw, you're good at the LB position. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. But we're running a little long here. I think I got one more star tweet. Let's see. Oh, no, that was just the Greenlaw one. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I saw like 300 likes, man. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Somebody gave us a thumbs down. I don't know what it is, but I'm joking. If you give me a thumbs down, just let me know. Hey, Croc, I think you could do better here. All right. I'm all ears. I'm listening. All that good stuff. We've had over 2,300 viewers already, as much as almost 700 live viewers. Shout out to everybody. We're back here tomorrow morning, same time, same place, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. Set your notification bell, all that good stuff. I appreciate everybody that contributed to the show, coming on live, talking. I know it's not an easy thing to do, talking to this thing. Sometimes you mess up. Sometimes you lose your train of thought. It happens. Appreciate everybody that's brave getting on and being thrown into the lion's den. But y'all know what it is, man. I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. We are out. Peace. I like the signing, y'all. I like the signing. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Rodgers. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Croc Talk TV podcast. Peace.